Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Good morning. It sounds at the end of the music, it sounds like you're letting the air out of the bag or something. You got a leak?
Maybe. I'll check after the show. Yeah. Our number is 919-518-9773.
You didn't even introduce Gal.
He
did.
Oh, you didn't pop up on the screen. That's why. Sorry.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
he popped up on the feed.
You blinked, Nick.
I did. I'm sorry.
Our number is
blackouts are good.
919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, by DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Yeah, Gal is with us.
Also made possible by...
I am here.
There's an echo. Also made possible by electrons. Don't forget that. Electrons are very much a part of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what's good? If you run into an electron, thank them.
So what's going on? Nothing.
Chilling.
Going
to Vegas this week. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're leaving.
And now with the Infection Podcast crew.
You're leaving when?
Wednesday afternoon.
Wow. Yeah.
Tell you what, there's not many. Well, there are lots, but oh, geez, sorry.
A lot of what?
There aren't many benefits of waking up at 3:15 for work, but the one benefit is you can work a whole day and catch a noon flight and not have to take an extra day off. So that is one of the.
That's not to your benefit, though.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I guess.
And it's an extra for me to take time off Thursday and Friday, which I'm doing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Compile.
Yeah.
6 hours worth of show content. It's just a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's almost not even worth taking the time off, to be honest with you. So the fact that I can work Wednesday and get out there I think I'll be out there around 5:00 local time. Wednesday. Yeah. 5:00 local time.
About halfway through my career where I traveled a lot, I had somebody come up to me and actually counsel me, because I used to say, "Oh, I'll fly on my time. I'll go out after hours, I'll fly." And they came up to me and they said, "You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Fly on their time. So if you're going to go somewhere and you need to be at a meeting on Tuesday morning, you leave at noon on Monday and you fly there.
For a work trip, absolutely.
For work stuff. And you get there and you have a nice dinner and you go to sleep and you get the sleep you need, and then you get up the next day and you're fresh." He says, "We don't need you to be a zombie because you got in at 2 a.m. and you're in the meeting at 7. So
yeah, I would agree. If I was taking a work trip, definitely. But
I used to do that. I used to couple since I'm going here, I'll do 2 other things while I'm there and I'll be gone for 2 weeks. And then so I was like, no, you trip, you fly just for that, and you come back. I said, there's no point in doing that because you're going to kill yourself.
No, this is nothing but leisure. So.
Oh, that's good.
It's all right.
So are you a gambler or an observer?
Oh, very much a gambler.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
But I'm fortunately, I think because of their draconian policies out in Vegas with masks and everything, I'll lose a lot less than I would have. So
Oh yeah, yeah. All your tells are gone. Unless you have a way to tug on your mask when you're bluffing.
yeah. So
I could never play. I did slots and I did some, things like that, but I could never do like a card game. I just couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around it. I just couldn't do it.
yeah, so it'll be a fun little trip. I'll leave Wednesday afternoon, and I'll take a red eye back Saturday night.
All right, so listen to this now.
Sorry.
What if your smartphone or laptop started charging as soon as you walked in the door?
Oh, wireless power, is that what we're getting back to?
Yeah.
I've had this idea for 20 years.
Researchers have developed a specially built room that can transmit energy to a variety of electronic devices within it, charging phones and powering home appliances without plugs or batteries.
Even a microwave?
As I say, does it make your balls shrink?
That's like 1,000. Can you imagine walking into a room that's got 1,000 watts being transmitted through the air?
Yeah. Good luck having kids.
Not the first time, though. What's new about technology?
No, the technology.
It's not new, but a full room. The amount of the amount of power you need for a microwave, which is a relatively small space.
Well, I kind of doubt
I
that
remember they
the
already
micro.
did it with TVs and stuff like that. I remember like an article probably 3 to 4 years ago. I can even find the link. So I'm wondering what is new about this new.
No,
Let's
Is
hope
this
it's a
a
safety
university
thing.
or is this like a consumer product?
well, this is still research.
Okay.
It says the system enables safe and high power wireless power transfer in large volume. The project assistant professor at the University of Tokyo Graduate School of Engineering and lead author of the new study, which was published last week in Nature Electronics. The room relies on the same phenomena as short-range wireless phone chargers. A metal coil placed in a magnetic field will produce an electric current. Existing commercial charging docks use electricity from a wall outlet to produce a magnetic field in a small area. Most recent smartphones are equipped with a metal coil, and when such a model is placed on the dock, the interaction generates enough current to power the phone battery.
So it isn't really sending electricity per se through the air. It's using magnetic fields, which we're constantly being bombarded with anyway.
Well,
So magnetic field is electromagnetic energy, but it's not the same as.
no, but today's commercial products have a very limited range. If you lift the phone off the dock or swath it in a case that is too thick, the wireless power transfer ceases. But if a magnetic field filled the whole room, any phone within it would have access to wireless power. Now, I kind of doubt it'll power a microwave. They did not mention, they just said powering home appliances. So what? Does that mean the refrigerator? Does that mean also a floor heater? No, come on.
No,
So
but the point is,
if you're making a cake and you have your wireless powered mixer and you walk into the next room, it stops and you walk back into the room and it goes again.
No. Mixers, blenders, cooking appliances. We've seen that before, that on a specially built countertop that has stuff built in it. And it's just kind of sort of like an induction.
Yeah, it's like induction cooking.
But that's fine. It's not, it doesn't bombard you. I think that, when they said that it has electric current, safe. I think they're talking more about not little, but lower voltage than.
Well, yeah, but to charge a phone, low voltage is not going to be sufficient.
There's a video. They show a cell phone, they show a lamp, and they show a fan,
Okay.
and they move it around in that room. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be high voltage at this point.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to do high voltage. I mean, there's no that will put all the outlet people out of business.
Well, for an appliance where you could store large capacitors to allow that charge to build up, I can understand. But I'm just like our current phones we have. I mean, wireless charging. If you lift it up, I mean, if you have a large enough phone case, it doesn't charge when it's when it's literally sitting on the wireless charger.
Right.
That's why I'm curious. I feel like they would have to redesign
Right,
because
but
for those
you're
coils
gonna
to be
say-
excited they're very, very there's very little resistance causes that excitement to not happen.
But if you are charging whenever you're in the room, you don't need to do any special operation, right? It doesn't matter that it takes 4 hours to charge the phone,
Right.
True.
right? As long as you always have charging. So it all depends on whether this is going to be easy to implement. And right now, it doesn't seem to be,
No,
because
I
the
mean,
room
come
seems to be like a completely encased in metal.
Right.
So, right. So it's
Well, it
not
has to
like
be,
you can
yeah.
retrofit any room. It'll require a lot of work. So
Does it mention the frequency, Gal, and what you're looking at? I'm curious what.
I'm trying to see if there's more.
And remember, they're talking high power wireless, not high voltage wireless. So that's
There's no link to the original paper, just the video. The video is on YouTube. Let's see if the video itself has any information.
they don't in the article. They don't.
Free
Nick, are
copy
you
of the paper can be. So there's a free copy of the paper as well.
Nick? Are you wondering 50 or 60 or?
No, I'm wondering what frequency are we talking? Gigahertz, megahertz?
Oh, as far as
yeah, we talking about like a 950 megahertz signal,
Yeah.
or something in the gigahertz, because that, for example, look at your Wi-Fi, which I know is not electricity, but for all intents and purposes,
Mhm.
it is. You go 2 rooms away, and you've got significantly less. Sometimes your signal cuts
and
out.
that's
Electromagnetic field up to 300 gigahertz.
That's very high frequency.
And there's 1.2 to 1.34 megahertz also mentioned. So we need to read the article, the scientific article, but it's linked in the video.
Okay, interesting.
and talking about frequency, and it's something that normally we don't pay attention to. Most of the new routers, or not even some of the older ones, have 2.4 or 5 gigahertz for wireless.
You said or, it should be and.
And okay, yeah, that's right. It's and, because you can have both of them are at the same time.
By default, both of them are.
Yeah.
By default, both of them work.
And 5 gigahertz always sounds, hey, that's better. That's newer. Well, not really.
No,
Depends for what.
It's not that it's not. It's been around. It just hasn't been applied in certain ways. The article I'm reading here says that a wireless charger uses 6.5 megahertz. That's megahertz, not gigahertz.
That's crazy high.
For induction heating. That causes that for charging. I don't know. I have to look and see how this says. It's actually microwave.
That's what I was saying. The only way for that amount of power,
Yeah.
that's some serious. Well, I mean,
50
you'd always have a
watts.
nice tan. I guess that would be a benefit.
Yeah.
They're talking
Don't-
about 50 watts in a room.
Damn,
But-
that's a lot of power.
But let's go back to something that people can use today when it comes to wireless, to Wi-Fi. So 5 gigahertz is great when you are close to the router.
Right.
If you walk outside and you don't have good signal, then the 2.4 is much better because it'll give you stronger signal. It's better going through walls.
But do you know why?
No,
It's because of the bandwidth of the frequency.
oh yeah,
The waves
the
are
wavelength.
longer,
Yeah.
so they penetrate through walls better. Tighter
Right.
waves are blocked easier.
right.
But they can carry less bandwidth because of the
Yeah.
wavelength. So
But-
that's why I was curious what the wavelength of whatever we were. Of the,
But
Bandwidth.
the thing is with Wi-Fi, if you check the speed between 5 gigahertz and 2.4, there's not much to it.
oh yes, there is.
There
a huge
is
difference.
no, there isn't. I mean, I was checking, and it was like about 200 and some, and 232 versus 198.
My tests have been significantly different than that.
Well,
If, for example, if you have a 1 megabit internet connection,
yeah,
you will likely, depending on how new your device is and how good your router is, you can likely
Yeah.
pull close to a gigabit via 5 gigahertz. On your 2.4 gigahertz band, you'll probably pull, from what I've seen, maybe 600 or 700, which is way more than you would need on a phone anyway. But you're talking a 30% efficiency drop, or
That's
40%.
that's the theoretical maximum too. That's
Yeah.
because you
Yeah,
have
well,
all kinds of other
yesterday-
factors.
yesterday I went to help a friend of mine put a router onto their Spectrum system of network because if he walked out of the house, it would be completely dead. There's no signal whatsoever. So I went over there thinking that, like in the old days, you have to call Spectrum and have them switch their modem router, put it in bridge mode so you can use your own router. Well, I was wrong. According to the girl who's doing it, she said, "But you didn't need to call us." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "If you just plug a router into our modem to port 1 and reset our router, it will see that there is a router on the other side, and it will automatically go into bridge mode."
You have to factory default it
You
to do that?
You don't.
restart
No.
Well, you said reset. What you're not talking
No,
about
reset. I
restart.
mean, unplug their modem from the wall, and reboot their modem. Sorry, not
Interesting,
reset.
'cause-
Yeah,
Hmm.
reboot.
I had to go through a process with mine. That's interesting.
I
wonder
know
if
that's
new.
that's what I remember, and I told her I thought we need to call you. She said, "Yeah, that's how it used to be, but not anymore."
Hmm.
So I said, "Well, in that case, I wouldn't waste your time. Let me just see why it's not working." And it was, of course, my problem, my boo boo, and it worked nice. And with 5
did it work?
gigahertz, it worked. Yeah,
Really?
Yep.
What kind of was it?
it's
Was it the new Spectrum one that looks like a cube?
no, it's a UB, but it
Is
looks
it the
like
large
it
black UB one?
yeah, it looks like
Okay.
the old the AT&T modem
Fiber
router
modem?
that you had with the 500 or the gigahertz. Remember,
Uh-huh.
it looks
Okay.
sort of like this.
Interesting. I wonder if I think it's probably dependent on the model because I've got a small, because I just have internet.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a tiny little Spectrum modem.
Interesting.
It does have Wi-Fi, but it's only got one Ethernet port.
Oh,
So
so
it's just, it really is just the modem.
It will be a router, but it's meant for, like, when the guy came to install it, he saw that obviously I have a whole closet full of network equipment. He just gave me that one because, why not?
So it has only one network. I mean, it doesn't have a switch in it.
I think so.
It has just one, and if you want to have more than one device, you have to put a switch. Interesting. But anyway, so going back, so
if you want to have more than one device, you mean with their router acting as the DHCP server?
It will, but you don't have.
So the one I have is it's an Aris phone and DOCSIS router. It's got one Ethernet port that you have to hook up to a router, and then it's got two tel jacks.
Oh, so wait a second. So it's just a modem.
Yes.
Okay,
I think so.
Different. Okay. All right. Interesting. So with the 5 gigahertz, he will walk out of the house, and he could go a little bit farther on the driveway, and then it will drop. But then in the house, it was full signal. So I said, okay, now let's switch it to 2.4. And he did, and he could walk all the way up to the street, to the end of the driveway, before it started going down some. And the speed was great. I mean, like you said, Nick, for a phone, what's the big deal?
Yeah, 5 is really only meant for close.
Yeah. So
or line of sight.
Yeah. By the way, yes, it is. My thing is just a modem. There are no. It's not a router at all. It's just
So it doesn't need.
It's an Aris small little black modem.
Yeah.
It could also be a telco modem, but I don't have that, obviously.
Yeah. So it's interesting. If anybody wants to try, and the interesting thing is that modem router that he had was only 2.4. Or
really? So it was an old UB.
I don't know. He just got it about 3 months ago.
I wonder if the 5 was turned off, because the UB I had about 2 years ago it had 2 and 2.4 and 5 on it. That's interesting.
That sounds like an old device.
Well, that's all I've seen is something UB 24. So I figured that's 2.4.
Also referred to as the UB doobie.
And even with 2.4, it couldn't give you good signals. So it's interesting. So if anybody has a problem at home with signal, try and just get a router with Wi-Fi and hook it to it. You'll have to reboot, and then you can connect to this.
And it says port 1 specifically?
She said to port 1, because I looked at it and I said, is there any trick? I mean, because I called, treating the whole thing as they need to do something. And she reset the modem and all that. And I asked her, I said, so which one do I plug it into? Is there a difference? She said, yeah, port 1. But
I think everybody, I don't care how technical you are or aren't.
You would do it automatically.
No, you should definitely get a standalone router.
Router, absolutely.
I mean, I think any. I can't speak. I've never had Comcast or Google. I don't know how those devices work, but definitely if you're a Spectrum customer, I would highly, and an AT&T customer, I would highly, highly recommend getting. Even now, and but I will say this: do not get the cheapest $49 router either. I think you might want to splurge a little bit and spend maybe $125 at the lowest. Get a nice Wi-Fi 6 router. They're not too expensive. Everybody makes them. Linksys,
right?
Anchor.
Yeah, they have some nice entry level ones now with Wi-Fi 6. You can get good price.
I would not get the cheapest bottom of the barrel one you can get, but I think a nice Wi-Fi 6 router, and best thing, you will have it forever. I mean, realistically, if you get a Wi-Fi 6 router, unless it gets popped by lightning, at this point you probably
gonna
won't ever
last.
need to update
Yeah.
it again. At least at this, you're probably good for at least the next decade on it, unless you're a really, a high power user.
Yep.
I've had this router since I've been here. I've been here 5 years, and I've had no reason to upgrade. And I'm a power user. And I don't do
looking
much
at
on
a-
Wi-Fi. So
Looking at an article here, apparently the UB auto bridge mode is a new feature because I'm finding very detailed instructions on how to change your UB wireless modem from a router into a bridge.
So
It's-
does it
it's-
look like?
No, it's not an automatic thing for these instructions for this
Oh,
model. Say, so this is either a new firmware update did this, or it's a newer version of the
UB.
what they're supplying now. So
Yeah, I mean, I screwed up when I set him up because to begin with, I had to talk to the router and set the router up, and I set it as 192.168.0.1 and fixed everything. And then when I connected both of them, I tried to go back into 192.168.0.1, and it went to the UB. And I said, "Uh-oh, what did I do here?" And we couldn't connect to the wireless of the TP link. And then it hit me. I said, "Oh, wait, there must be a conflict here somewhere," even though he didn't tell me. So I went and I changed it to 1.1 and everything worked. Even though the back of the UB said that their GUI URL is 192.168.100.1.
that's typically what a modem is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when you go
That's but you can, like, I could type that in on my 1.1 network and get to it, no problem.
Oh.
I can, I have a TP Link modem.
it's been a long time since I've done this, so that you don't think in this this way, you just go, yeah, okay, I need to set it up, and this is it. But anyway, things are working, and he's very happy. All right, here's another interesting. ASUS has just 4 letters to sell you on its latest creator-focused notebooks. What do you think it is?
4 letters.
Wow.
FUCK.
OLED.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Of course.
The company is bringing OLED screens to all of its new models, a movement to differentiate them in the increasingly crowded PC market.
That's involuntary. They had all their screens sitting out in a field somewhere and they got wet. And they
Compared
got
to traditional
now they're organic.
Compared to traditional LCD screens, OLED offers deeper black levels, vastly better contrast, and more responsiveness.
It's nice to see the availability and pricing of OLED.
Yeah.
If you go to Costco and look at the OLED TVs, the true OLEDs, not the QLEDs, but the OLEDs, and the prices are getting much better.
Yeah, so all their laptops, all their screens are going to be OLED. That's very interesting. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure I don't know what's going to happen to the prices because I'm sure it costs more.
Oh, it absolutely does.
It may be that the factories that produce the screens, because of all the global chip this shortage and COVID and all that, maybe they up their game on OLED, and it's easier for them to produce it, and it's not going to cost that much more. I don't know. but we'll have
So
to wait and
LG
see.
LG, they have their RAM line of laptops.
Your audio is low.
Sorry, yeah. So LG, they have the Gram line of laptops.
Gram.
Which, yeah, Gram.
Okay.
That's the name of the.
Okay.
That's the name of the
Yeah.
the line, and those are like really, really, really lightweight.
Mhm. Yeah, they weigh a gram.
Laptops, and they don't use. I was sure they use OLED, but they do not. They use IPS LCD. So you take what LG did with these laptops, and it is extremely light. You lift the laptop, it feels like a mock-up. It feels like it's empty. Um, and you put an OLED on these.
Mhm.
I think that is going to even more dramatically reduce the weight. So for ASUS to do that, that sounds like a very good move. I've been waiting for a large OLED screen for a while. I'm not sure it'll increase the price by that much, though.
Yeah, haven't they recently perfected some of their new manufacturing processes
That's
too?
the thing. So,
Yeah.
so I think the larger panels, yes, they'll still be pricier, but not by a lot. And what they're and a move like that for ASUS, well, actually, we're all going to benefit from it because it's going to push the price even down.
Yeah.
For these panels going forward. That's great. That's really great. OLED for the win.
All right. Did we talk about Amazon problem with drivers? Did we mention this? This is a story from last week. I didn't think I got to it.
About
No?
bad drivers, getting drivers,
Shortage.
shortage of drivers.
Amazon has
no,
a
I heard about
solution.
that.
Amazon has a solution for potentially crippling shortage of delivery drivers. Recruit pot smokers. The company is advising its delivery partners, the mom and pops that operate the ubiquitous blue Amazon vans, to prominently advertise that they don't screen applicants for marijuana use. This is according to correspondence reviewed by Bloomberg and interviews with 4 business owners. Doing so can boost the number of job applicants by as much as 400%.
Yeah, but
Amazon-
impaired is impaired.
Well,
That's not about impaired. Come on, man. They're talking about screening, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with screening is if you live in a state where it's legal.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about where it's illegal.
Yeah, but they're
Is
talking
that-
about where it is legal. That's the thing. Even if it's legal, if they find marijuana in your bloodstream, right, and it remains in your bloodstream for 2 weeks for those tests, right? So
At least.
you can't get a job, right?
mhm.
You can. You need to wean it off. You need to
Yeah.
wait a long time, but it's not. It's another hurdle to pass, and it shouldn't be. I mean, nobody's testing for alcohol in your blood, right?
Oh, that's not true. Commercial drivers are tested all the time at random testing.
That's something else. That's testing for like with the owl, right? With right now, with are you driving under the influence, but not as a background check. Are you consuming
You do commercial
alcohol
drivers.
at all?
You're tested for controlled substances when you get the job by law.
Well,
Right, but
I mean,
but
look.
alcohol isn't a controlled substance that you are
No,
testing.
no, that's true. But that's
So
why I
why
say buzzed is
marijuana?
buzzed. I mean, it doesn't matter how you get buzzed. If the problem is not fine, if you increase the number of drivers, that's fine. As long as these people are responsible and don't go to work stoned, that's great.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
No, I'm not.
but
I'm
that's
not.
the thing.
What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter what you're buzzed on. If you're buzzed, you shouldn't be driving.
But
so
they're
this
not talking
kind
about. But they're not talking about while you're driving, right? They're talking about background checks, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And yes, it will increase their workforce.
They're saying that
The possibility, right?
they're saying by 400%. And they say that screening for marijuana cuts the prospective worker pool by up to 30%.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit.
They did not say where they
Well,
got
these
those
are
statistics.
predictions, but lifting that is a good thing, and watching forward to see if that really made a change. That'll
Right.
be interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
that time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell. And the truth is, I mean, marijuana is becoming more and more legal slowly. But I mean, if it's legal in one state or two states, it's not because of their air or because of their people or whatever. It means that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just a political thing if it's not legal.
Right now, it's fully political.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting when it'll become federally okay, right? Because we're not there yet.
Right. It'll be very interesting. Yeah.
Well, like I'll give you I don't know how deep you want to go into this conversation, but like, for example, I'll be out in Vegas next week where weed is totally, it's past being decriminalized. It's totally legal.
Yeah.
So the question is, can you fly with illegal substances back to a state where it's not? There's still lots of weird questions and things about how that all works. Or it's completely legal in one state and illegal in the next.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of interesting things about it. There's
Well,
lots
the
of,
answers are pretty clear, right now. It's not.
it's not, but
It's not even, you're not even allowed to pass it between states that it's legal, because you're passing a federal
Controlled.
correct on a plane. Yes.
a federal border, because you're passing a federal border and it's not legal in the federal realm, right? That's why all of these businesses are cash only businesses, because they are not allowed to open a bank account because bank accounts are FDIC insured, and the federal government will not insure anybody working.
Alan
with
brings up a good point in
substance
chat
that is illegal.
about insurance companies aren't going to like this because background checks help lower premiums. So
It's not a matter of them not liking it. They probably will not insure. So it's another hurdle.
oh, they'll insure, but it'll cost more. So
Hi, marijuana smokers, they're healthier. Haven't you heard? Marijuana is like this miracle drug.
they're
It
certainly
cures
happier.
Yep, they're happier too.
Yep.
Yep. All right. We're going back with Gal. You have Sonos.
Yeah.
Sonos announces price hikes for Arc, Amp, Roam, Sub, 5, 1-in-1 SL speakers. Are these all kind of different models?
Yeah, there's the models, the different
Okay.
models, sizes, and
Okay. Citing
yeah.
chip shortage and supply
Mm.
chain. Sonos Arc's prices is leaping by $100 from $799 to $899.
They're already pricey to start with.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt.
Not every product will be seeing a large jump in price, as some products like the Sonos Roam are seeing increase of just $10. Other products receiving only small price increases, including the Sonos One and Sonos One SL, $20. But this is
This is gonna hurt for those who really
really like to.
we're
Yeah.
really planning on buying one.
And by the same time, Google and the Indian telecom operator Joe announced this week they are delaying the
Joe
launch.
Mama? Sorry. That was too easy.
They are delaying the launch. It's JIO. And delaying the launch of their affordable smartphone aimed at 300 million users. So yeah, Google was going to do that with them. Now they're delaying it because of shortage chips.
So I wonder how much of this price increase is related to inflation, cost of goods.
It's not there.
It's all interconnected, right?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's interesting because you think people don't realize that companies, if they're successful companies and their products sell, they're not as hit by inflation because they pass their increases on to the consumer. So it's really always the end user that pays because it
Right.
It
results
is.
in
They
higher
increase,
costs.
they need to think of how they reduce their consumer base, right? Because
Yeah.
they're increasing the price. So yeah.
But it's like if we have 1,000 customers and they all pay $10, or we have 10 customers and they all pay $1,000,
That's true.
right? So it's like sometimes they think that way. That's unfortunate.
All right.
But
So
speaking of
now
cell
you
phones, let's mention the Epic Apple decision.
we have 5 minutes to the specials, so I don't know. I mean, Nick may wanna. You guys may talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, we can talk about it later.
We'll do it after the special. But here is something. WhatsApp said on Friday it will give its 2 billion users the option to encrypt their chat backups to the cloud, taking a significant step to put a lid on one of the tricky ways private communications between individuals on the app can be compromised. The Facebook owned service has end to end encrypted chats between users for more than a decade. But users have had no option but to store their chat backups to the clouds, iCloud or iPhone, and Google Drive on Android in an unencrypted format. Now they say that it's patching this week and it'll be all encrypted in the cloud. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good move.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to leave these things unencrypted, but they chose to do it like that.
Yeah.
What does the FBI think about that? I'm making it as a joke, not as a. I don't care what they do, to be honest. But I'm sure there are law enforcement agents that are going, oh shoot, before we could just find these chats and use them for prosecution. Just
It's always
another
been a
court
huge
order.
They
gray
could, by the
area.
way. Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with WhatsApp is that the chats, even though they are encrypted end to end, and even though you will be able to have the backup itself encrypted, right? Facebook, WhatsApp themselves, they still have the keys.
Oh, absolutely. And they said that
Right?
they can read.
It's not about right. It's so it's not like you are the only party that has the key. And the reasoning behind them having the keys is not like malicious or anything, right? Because that means that using just your phone number, right, you can retrieve your history. You won't lose it. But that's where the difference between being completely responsible for your own content, right, versus giving that responsibility to a third party. And so that's the main difference.
All right. Vince,
Yes,
are you ready for
I'm
specials?
ready. I'm ready.
You're ready.
Actually.
You're ready.
And the specials, unless it invokes a lot of discussion, probably won't take too long today. I don't have that many things, but the path I went down today is showing you stuff you didn't know you needed. Some new things that are out there, cutting edge, bleeding edge, ridiculous edge. It depends on what your perspective is on some things. But I got you one of these cats in 3D things that's coming by Amazon. So you don't want to watch, you won't be watching TV anymore. You'll be looking at the cats in 3D books. That's it.
Right.
It'd be fun. So, Computers 2K Now specials for September 12th, 2021. And we're starting with this new device called Cove. that is a device that you wear 20 minutes a day, promised by this is by the developers of this thing. It does vibrations behind your ears. Looks like it's in the front too. That's just the hook on your ear. And that is supposed to alleviate anxiety and help people who are stressed out. Now, the reason this was interesting to me, note the price. It's expensive, $490. It is available apparently. This was from it first introduced early 2021. But whoever's a sci-fi book fan, at least pretty recently, has known about the books called Ringworld. You ever read them, Gal?
I've read
Ringworld?
the first one. I think,
Yeah. And there was a character in the book called Louis Wu, who is the main character throughout the series. And the book starts out with him hanging out in his apartment with this thing connected to his head. And it was basically a plug that they put in that was connected to the brain that stimulated the pleasure centers of your brain. So they called them wireheads. And basically you were addicted. You plugged it in, you sat there and just had a smile on your face. You were happy. You didn't want to turn it off because it would be immediate withdrawal from the pleasure centers being stimulated. In some cases, people actually died using this thing because they turned it up too far. They couldn't get themselves off of it, so they just starved to death. But the point is, like, we're getting there. So now we have a device. Now, I understand it's not connecting to your brain. It's supposed to be through vibrations, which is probably a legitimate therapy for this, but very interesting. So it's called Cove. And if it does actually help people with stress, now maybe it'll just be a placebo effect where you think it's helping you. So it does.
Isn't one reason for getting stress is debt?
Is what?
Debt. Being in debt.
Yes. Yeah. So here you go. $490.
So, yeah.
They should be giving them away for free. Then everybody can have be stress free.
That's a double whammy.
Yeah.
Well, you know who they're targeting now. We know that
Yeah.
we know what their marketplace is. It's going to be tech professionals who spend a lot of time working, and this is going to supposedly help them. But it could be completely fake. And you find this, like, you ever see those ads where you got a guy, they want to cure your baldness, and the guy puts on a hat with all these LEDs on it. It's like, oh, grow hair, and they actually make things you can put on sore arms and that with LEDs. Like, wow, it's flashing all these lights. It must help. Oh, well. But I did put the links to all these different things in the actual article here. So
Alan makes a good point in chat. There are a lot of binaural
That again?
where you have frequencies from with phase shifting from both ears. Binaural, I think that's the name.
Neural.
And
binaural, yeah.
Binaural, yeah. So you can get that with free software today on your phone, right? And good headset, and have similar. I mean, judging from the structure of that thing, that's probably what it does. It's bone inducted audio, like that, right? So
yeah. Well, there's lots of interesting audio therapies too. I have tinnitus, and there's something called notched therapy that's supposed to be helpful. I've never tried it. I actually did download a program one time where you can actually figure out your frequency and then you could have this company would create a music file for you that would have the tones you need to try to suppress. I never tried. I never paid for it. But yeah, there's lots of things that audio wise you can, because even sound you cannot notice, the ultra high frequency sound can be stressful on you.
Right.
You don't realize, or low frequency vibrations. So maybe they're onto something. Okay.
All right.
So now we've got another expensive device here. And today, you'll notice there are 3 products in today. It's interesting how we're talking about the whole cannabis thing. There are 3 products in here today that have a tie to that question. One, this is called Trova Home. It's a pre-order device. It is $549, but it is a home safe. It says it's the kind of safe you would see in a hotel room that's locked in the closet, and this you can bolt it down to anything in the house. Paired with an app, so it's Bluetooth.
And it's made of plastic.
Yeah, it's made out of cardboard. Yeah, but the interesting thing about it is, it's got a through biometric. You can go biometric or go through the app or it's got a near field sensor or something, whatever, to know that your secure device is close by. There's humidity sensors and odor concealers built into it. I wonder what that could be used for.
Your hash stash.
So very interesting here. But here's another. This is expensive, but you might find a marketplace. If you're an Amazon driver, you're probably going to want to get one of these, right?
I'm guessing if you're an Amazon CEO, but yeah.
That's it. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Elon Musk is going to want one, right? Well, maybe not. Joe Rogan. These are guys that.
Yeah.
There's no. They're not trying to hide the orders.
Crowd.
They're not trying to hide the orders.
For the California crowd.
Yeah. So this next one, I actually thought this was pretty interesting. It is a Bluetooth speaker for your shower, but it is totally water powered.
Cool.
It uses the water flowing through. It attaches to your shower system. You can put it in different places. You can put it on the actual just before the shower head. You can put it on the wand, but it's got a little spinning not called a turbine. What's it in a water like a water wheel? There's a term for it. I can't think of what it's called. Hydro turbine or something that spins and generates enough power to power the actual speaker.
So if you turn the shower off while you're soaping up, rubbing, then it stops, right?
Maybe it has a battery too. Like we try. I don't know.
I'm guessing it has a battery and it charges using
charges
the water
it up.
movement and it plays out of the battery. Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess it wouldn't just die when you turned it off. But yeah, it wouldn't work in the Navy, right? Because they have the Navy shower where you turn it on, you have the shower, you have 60 seconds, you turn it off, you soap up, you turn it on for 60 seconds, you rinse off, you turn it off. Right? It's limited. But the starting price on this is $59, and then there's add-ons that you can get to it that cost more, different fixtures and plumbing add-ons and things to make it work better. But very interesting. Now, I just have to have everybody will be required to have one of these as a supplement to supplement their charging batteries in their house going forward. So when you use your shower, hey, in Alaska, a very popular off-the-grid charging method is using low-volume streams with these tiny water wheel alternator generators that will charge up batteries. They have, because you're in Alaska in the wintertime, there's not a whole lot of sunlight to power your solar array if you're off the grid. So in the summertime, you take advantage of the flow of the water. All you have to do is direct water into a 2 or 3 inch pipe, concentrate it, and run it through there, and you can generate power 24/7, which is pretty cool. All right. So now, this is interesting. Is Nick back? Yeah, there you go, Nick. Did you see this new? It is a personalized liquid cannabis management system and a vaping tool that measures and quantifies your absorption rate, so to speak.
So is it like a breathalyzer?
No, it actually has a liquid in there, so you smoke it, but you carefully control concentration amounts. So if you know the concentration of the fluid you're using and the type, you track it so that you know, I'm working for Amazon, so I can only go this far. I can't.
I wonder if it's limited just to cannabis, because this is very cool. Think about consuming medicine.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's
right.
It's got a great. It's interesting. This is how it's marketed as a cannabis aid, but could be used for anything. Could be for people who have emphysema. As it's emphysema. If you use a nebulizer, it's pretty similar to this, right? It's vapor.
It is a nebulizer.
It's essentially right, but not like the kind you sit there and you take deep breaths from.
Right.
People who have emphysema, but very interesting. Yeah. So it's a regulated cannabis experience.
So since it's a special, how much is it?
You're gonna have
it's
to
not
go there.
available yet.
I couldn't find a price. I went to the
Oh,
Coming
mode.com.
holidays 2021.
Yeah, it's not shipping yet. So
Okay.
this was stuff. Most of the stuff I got off of a Esquire article that was talking about CES from last January.
All right.
So
Really
All right.
cool.
the next one is actually fascinating. I watched the video. This is an autonomous, air quotes, AI powered mobile robot for your house that will go out and learn things about the house and will have a path that it follows. And if there's anything unusual going on, it'll check it out for you. It'll drive over to, it has sound sensors, it's got a camera in it. You can look at it through the app. So you find out, oh, what happened? I heard a noise. I heard a noise somewhere in the house. Oh, obviously it's not going to go up the stairs. Well, maybe it can. I don't know. It's very small. You look at the other picture, you can see it's a little desktop thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it will go around. Like if the dog got out of its box and was in your bedroom, it could go and actually find out what was going on. It's very interesting. So it says night vision camera, 4-wheel drive, omnidirectional wheels, Wi-Fi enabled, Internet of Things mode, voice control, Alexa, Google, and streaming devices. So pretty cool. I mean,
Four-wheel drive.
This isn't a new concept, right?
no, it's not a new concept, but it's
I think it looks like this time this will actually work. So back in let's see, 2016, there was an Indiegogo campaign for something called Orbi.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Never came to fruition. It did get funded, but it didn't get funded like by a lot more than one was asked for, and it pretty much died a couple of years after the funding. I think the latest update is 2 years ago, and the concept was similar to this. Just instead of something on wheels, it was a ball that roams around the home.
Yep.
And they just found a way of stabilizing the camera within the ball, or just rendering only the relevant images that the camera sees. But yeah, so this looks like something that might actually get produced, unlike the other one. It'll be interesting. Up until now, there hasn't been a successful one marketed, and a self-roaming robot.
So
And
now
it's still pricey, but
So now when somebody breaks into your house and it comes to check, you have just like a big roach that you have to step on and kill, right?
Well, it depends if you want to be detected or not.
well, it depends. If you got the IoT stuff, you can have your shotgun positioned in the right place, so when the person
Yeah.
passes at it,
Right.
discharges.
And what do you
right?
do if you have multiple of these at home?
Oh.
They'll come from different angles.
Or they'll fight with each other.
No,
What
no.
happens
I'm
when
in
you
charge.
forget
No,
the
I'm in
password
charge.
and they start harassing you, the homeowner?
That's right. You're laying in bed and suddenly they're all on the bed with you going, vibrating. What did you remember? What was the Tom Selleck movie?
Oh yeah.
Runaway. That was a great movie.
yeah.
Michael Crichton.
I saw that about a year ago. It's
Yeah.
it's
a
so
cool
cheesy
idea.
on one end, but it has some good points.
Yeah, it was kind of dated, but it was interesting that it was Gene, what's his name from Kiss, was the bad guy.
I don't remember
The
those
guy who
details,
was the
but,
bad guy in that movie was Gene, what's his name, the headliner from Kiss.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was cool.
Simmons.
That's it. Yep. His very interesting history about him.
No,
You read about his
let's,
background?
let's go with the
Yeah.
specials.
But, I mean, look him up to find out. He's a self-taught person. Okay. So Amnon, I want you to fund we need to test this next thing, Project Brooklyn, Razer, which is the new total immersion gaming chair. Now, if you look at the video on this thing, that screen deploys. It's not just there. You don't just get in it. You sit down and it comes out and deploys around your head, which is really cool. And then it's got what do you call it? Vibrations are built into the seat, and all kinds of things, sound and all that is all built in. I don't know what it costs, to be honest. It's a concept thing. I don't think they've gone that far yet, but this was what they introduced. But HyperSense Intelligent Haptics. Wow. So very cool. And it says it's OLED display. Now, I don't know how they do it in a clear screen, but.
Why? OLED is transparent.
That's true. Then it would work. Yeah. Can you imagine what that would cost? Holy cow! To have it just an open air, and how fragile it might be. Oh boy. Whatever though, but it's really cool. Project Brooklyn.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about it, Spence.
No.
None of us has to worry about the cost of it.
No, I have one on order.
Yeah.
So it required a $20,000 deposit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you had too much cannabis this morning.
Oh, that's the new muffins that Pam makes.
That's ridiculous.
What is it called? Alice B. Toklas?
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, good stuff though. All right, well that's it. I thought we'd have a light discussion today on.
Nick
cool
will
stuff.
take the chair.
The chair, okay. Nick will be sent to the chair. That won't be. That isn't.
No, Nick will take this chair.
Okay.
Thanks, Spence. I appreciate
For games, this is nice.
And that's it for Computers 2K Now specials for September 12th, 2021.
All right. All right. Okay.
Oh, I don't need to talk to it now, but just mention about price change on the Amazon recast price drop. I sent you guys something on Signal about it yesterday.
Yeah, bring it up.
$60 off on the 1 terabyte version, and I forget how much I was. That's the 4 tuner version. Yeah, that's the one I have, and then I have the 2 tuner version with the 500 gig. Is also on sale, $169, I think. So if you're looking to do a home recording, over-the-air home recording, it's been working out good for us. There are glitches, but it hasn't lately been recast. It's been glitches. There are other things that happen with the Amazon Fire Stick that are not related to recording stuff. We still haven't used it a lot now because there aren't a lot of new first-run shows over the air. But when the season opens up and we have all our favorite shows, we use it every day, and it works pretty good.
Yeah, that's the lowest price since January.
Yeah, I got it during that last January. I actually told me when I looked at it when I bought it. I don't remember what it was. It was on sale when I got it also.
So probably December.
Yeah.
December. Yeah.
This is a nice way.
Last year.
That's a nice way to start on cutting the cord.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I bought it November 27, 2020. Yep.
So you paid $180.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got a good deal on it.
Good deal, yeah.
So just to say that it is relatively easy to set up too. Yeah. I really, once you understand the Fire TV ecosystem, if you have a Fire TV stick and you get to know how to use it, it is annoying when they change the menu. Just like if Roku does a much better job of keeping their UI from changing too much. But Amazon, it's very heavily advertised. That's one of the issues.
But the recent change, I gotta say, is an improvement.
I can
get to my apps without going like in a predictable set of clicks, right? So, and I don't think it's more clicks than before. It's just before it will move all the time, and now to get to what I need is quick. So
You know,
think they
I
did
think
a
the
good
biggest
job.
beef I have with Amazon right now is some of the way they're starting to market. For example, there was a show that we found on British show that first season was available on Prime. But to continue with season 2, 3, and 4, you had to subscribe.
Yeah,
And
but
they're-
that was always the case.
Well, I'm seeing it more, which is just, it's interesting because there are several shows that we watch that even now with Masterpiece Theater on, if you want to watch it streamed from, like if you want to go to UNC TV, they want you to be a subscriber and pay a monthly fee. It's not, it's voluntary, but you have to do it to get the streaming. So it's not really voluntary. But it's interesting. I think is what you're seeing now with, I bought Philo because it had Discovery Channel, but now they have Discovery Plus. So a lot of new shows are premiering on Discovery Plus, not on Discovery, or the new seasons of older shows are moving to Discovery Plus. So,
All right. So, Gal or Nick, take it away with the Epic Apple. Oh,
Sure. So let's see. Where do we begin our tale today?
Who won? Who won?
Well, before we get to who won, we need to figure out how we got to this point. So there's been an ongoing saga between Epic Game Company, the developer of and publisher of Fortnite, and Apple. Anybody that puts an app in the App Store on iOS, if they want to sell anything in app, so any sort of add-ons or a DLC or anything that is an in-app purchase, that runs through Apple's stores. It runs through the Apple payment processing system, which means that Apple takes 30% off the top of the sale, which is not
30%?
That's
Yeah.
the Apple cost for everything. They
didn't
take
know it was that
30%,
high.
which sounds high, but it's the same thing that Xbox and Microsoft take on the Xbox. Sony takes a similar amount on PlayStation. Valve takes their 30%. So it's a relatively bog standard number. It is high, but it's kind of the going rate. So Epic, not wanting to pay that 30% and already having the infrastructure in place to take payments themselves, they
via PayPal and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, they through the Epic Game Store, they're for all intents and purposes, they're their own. They can be their own processor,
right?
So they decided that they were going to push an update to the Fortnite app through the App Store that circumvented Apple's payment system. So they did that. That's probably about a year ago, would be my guess, and Apple immediately pulled their app from the store and banned Fortnite from being on the iPhone because it's against their terms of service, which requires any in-app purchases to be run through Apple. So there was some back and forth. Epic released a version of the game that you could download to the phone, not through the App Store. And eventually it got to the point where Epic decided to take Apple to court over the situation. And so it was Epic v. Apple, and the premise was that there was a couple parts to it. Epic was claiming that Apple was being monopoly. They were claiming antitrust, lots of stuff that was going into that. Now, this was nothing but an uphill battle from Epic from day one. This was an incredibly tough nut to crack. So if you read the headline, it says Epic wins big Fortnite lawsuit against Apple. So you might think, holy crap, that Epic defeated Apple. If you dig into the story a little bit, you find out that that's not necessarily incorrect. It's kind of misleading. So I think it was either
Apple just got a slap on the hand, basically.
Yeah, well, there is some changes, but it's not exactly what Epic was looking for. So it was either Thursday or Friday. The U.S. District Court judge ruled that Epic ruled in Epic Games' favor against the lawsuit. So Apple can no longer dictate that purchases made in apps on its own device go through the App Store. So that in itself is a big win. Because I mentioned they previously were collecting 30%.
And not only that, that is why Apple removed them from the App Store. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
But despite that, the judge ruled against Epic on all other counts in the trial. She concluded that Apple was not in violation of any antitrust laws and does not need to allow Epic or other entities the freedom to create their own stores on the Apple platform. Additionally, Apple is not required to allow Fortnite back on the App Store, which means they're not going to, at least in the US. Now, South Korea just passed a law that requires Apple and Google to require these third-party stores in their app store. So in South Korea, Epic is going to allow Fortnite back into the store. But in the US, it does not appear that Epic will be allowed. I don't see under any circumstance in which Apple is going to allow Epic back on the store. But for everybody else, they can now do in-app purchases through their apps and not go through Apple's payment processing, and they can take that 30% themselves. So it is a big win. It's just not. It's almost like Epic was fighting for all the other guys and
Right.
kind of making themselves the martyr, and they kind of did.
There's one thing that's missing, right? That is completely missing. And it nowhere in the judgment does it say that if there's a third-party option for paying, right? It says if there's a third-party option for paying that is not Apple, Apple cannot disallow it, but it doesn't say that Apple must accept not using Apple's pay process, right? So it seems like that's
for
why
new
it's like a
apps.
law.
For new apps, I agree. What you're saying here, Gal, is that let's say I already have an app in the store and I collect purchases through Apple. I release an update to the app that I collect the payments myself and save on the 30%. Then
Right.
Apple deletes me from the store.
Right.
If
And
in fact they
still can
start,
do it.
which they can, but then they will find themselves within more litigation. For new apps, they can claim some other reason. If you have an app in the store and you release an update that all it does is change the payment processing, and Apple starts removing all of these apps, they will quickly find themselves in violation of this U.S. District Court judge's opinion and likely find themselves under serious litigation. So it's the verdict is still out whether this will have a big impact or not. I mean, technically Epic did win, but they're not going to get their app back on the store, and they're not going to be able to collect payments unless they make a deal with Apple. They might. That's been the whole thing the whole time. And a lot of people hate on Epic, and I understand their frustration. Since day one, Epic has tried to cut a deal with Apple, and they've said, "Hey, we understand you take 30%. We are a very large company. We are willing to make a deal with you." 15, 10, Epic has tried time and time again to make an agreement with Apple, and because they're so stubborn and hard-nosed with their opinions, they have refused to do it, and that's why Epic took them to court. So, to me, this is more of showing Apple's nonsensical business practices, because I mean, they could have made a fortune off of allowing Fortnite in the store and maybe taking 15%, which was half of their 30, instead of getting none of it at all. And Epic has said, the CEO of Epic, Tim Sweeney, on multiple accounts has mentioned this. It was proven in the court documents that there was these conversations that were tried to be had about coming up with a special agreement with Apple or Fortnite to allow them to take a lesser part of the V-Bucks transactions, and Apple just wanted no part of it. So there's a lot to deconstruct with that, lots of moving pieces and lots of moving parts. So technically a win for Epic, but it's not going to change their status in the App Store as of now.
And Nick, you
Yeah.
said that they will be allowed in South Korea.
Correct.
Can US users
No.
download from there?
No,
No
you would have
way.
to have a.
The
I mean, technically
App
you
Store.
can, but you'd have to have a South Korean Apple account, a South Korean credit card. The amount of work
Okay.
is not.
Okay.
It would not be sufficient for your average everyday user.
Not for a free-to-play game.
Correct. Yeah. Can it
Do-
be done? Yes. Will it be done? No.
Do you guys think that maybe this decision and the way that it actually worked out at the end may contribute toward opening another app store by
No,
not
No.
by Apple?
The judge
No.
ruled that they're not
no,
required
that's
to
exactly the problem. The judge ruled that Apple does not have a monopoly.
do that. Yeah. Epic was claiming antitrust, which I think there was some legitimate points to make about that. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not necessarily sure I'm 100% in one camp or the other, but I do think there was a legitimate claim made there by Epic that, hey, you as a user buy this phone, buy this device, and Apple is the gatekeeper as to what you can do with your device or not.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a claim to be made there. At no point that I think Epic was going to win that portion of the argument. But they did. They did win a part. And the fact that third parties will now be able to save that 30% is going to be a big deal for lots of apps and lots of single developers that make a little bit of money through in-app purchases. You're talking about them now maybe only paying 5% in terms of the credit card processing fees and things like that through their own payment platform versus 30 for a single man development house or
It's
a small development company that makes a decent amount of cash, but is not making billions like Epic. An extra 25% on in-app purchases could be a significant amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
For a small developer, you could be talking tens of thousands of dollars a year, which for a single guy or single guy developing an app with a family, that's a big pay raise. So I think there will be some good things that come of this. But it was not all that Epic was looking for. Now, of course, Apple is likely going to appeal this.
Yeah, of course.
And so we won't. This is not. It's not like it hasn't happened yet. In terms of they haven't had to adjust their policy yet, but they will. Apple will appeal this. They've got the legal power and the cash to appeal it. So we'll see what happens.
Apple did. Epic will appeal. Apple haven't stated anything about appeal.
They
No, but they'll
will.
appeal the fact that that Apple will likely appeal the fact that they don't have to allow third-party purchases. If I had to guess,
No, I don't think they'll appeal that. That part.
You don't think so?
I think they are very happy with the ruling because one, they got legitimized. They got their whole process legitimized, right? They are not forced to reduce the 30%. They are not forced to
allow the thing
to
back.
allow Epic to use only their option, right? So Epic will still need to allow in-app purchases through Apple, but it is allowed an option to use a different method. So if Fortnite doesn't add the in-app purchases by Apple, they can still they still have control over whether they join or not. So and in nowhere the judge said you must allow alternative app stores. So that's a win. That's a win for Apple. Basically, nothing has changed.
Forgive me if I missed something while I was away for a moment. What does Apple have to do in their ecosystem to make this work?
Nothing.
But I mean,
well, they do. They have to
because
allow
the apps the only place now when
Just
you go.
change a term in their agreement that
So
says that does not mention third party payment methods at all. That's all.
Well, what I mean is,
those
you
are
go
allowed.
if you're playing a game and you want to buy points to continue in the game, right? It goes through the Apple ecosystem.
It doesn't have to anymore.
But how do you?
It
The
will still
developers have to
have that
change their
option,
app.
Wait. One at a time, guys. Wait.
What
No.
needs to happen now? To what does Apple have to do if the current system is the app gets downloaded from Apple to the customer? They're
Right.
using the app, so now the developer is on the hook to create the hooks in the app to go to a different source.
Yeah, but that was already there in the first place. Spence, you're muted.
How did I get muted? I didn't touch anything. Oh,
So
okay.
what needs to the only thing that Apple is going to allow from this point forward, right, is if your app has in-app purchases, other than the App Store option, you can offer a third-party option. Nowhere does it say that Apple must allow only third-party options.
Correct.
Right? And so Apple is still going to be adamant that third-party option, that in-app purchases through their App Store is available if you have in-app purchases.
Are
Right?
there
And let's
other?
be-
That's going to stay.
Well, and let's be clear, the way that the way that in-app purchases and DLCs work now is so incredibly convenient. You don't have to make an account. You don't have to put a credit card on file. None of that, because it's just using your Apple account. For end users, if I make an app and want to charge you to do that, you're going to have to make some sort of account through my website or something like that to keep track of your transactions. You're going to have to put a credit card or a debit card in because it's not using Apple's. The fact that on my phone I can go to an app and say,
you
"Oh,
could
I
use
want this
something
for
like that.
$5.99."
Well, why can't they use Venmo or Cash App or?
You can.
Yeah,
That's
so that
what
would make it
that's
easy.
what Epic uses.
Yeah.
They use PayPal.
Yeah, but I'm saying you have to then log into your PayPal account. There's more
Right.
steps. Right now, if I go to an app and click, "Oh, I want this $5 purchase," I touch my fingerprint to the home screen and I've got it. Nothing else. That's very convenient. So for apps, that they might look towards that and say, "Well, you know, we'd like this extra percentage, but the ease of use is pretty encouraging."
Right. But keep in mind, because it wasn't allowed, right? Then let's say PayPal, Venmo, others, they haven't developed an easy process for the iPhone apps to do that. Once that's allowed, there'll be development that makes it as easy. So yeah, you'll
Possible.
download an app once, you'll set it up, but from that point forward, right, you can use that, and that can be your preferred method. On
Very possible.
Android,
If that's
for
the case,
example,
then that
on
will
Android
change. I agree.
that exists. So it's as easy for me to pay with, by the way, Google Pay, right, can process PayPal for you. So it's not like you're limited or not, or there's a way, right? And if you don't want that, you can always, install sideload another app. In Apple, there's no sideloading unless you jailbreak the phone, right? And that hasn't been addressed. That has been okayed by the court, so Apple can continue the way they're doing it. And I think that's the main contention point that Epic feels a great loss and Apple feels a great win. Right? That's the biggest issue here.
Nick, I understand what you're saying about the conveniency. Is it also? I mean, right now I'm assuming that when you go to buy something else from the App Store, you have a central place where you can see what you bought before and when did you buy it and how much you paid for it. It's probably all.
Well, you hold on a second though. You're describing purchasing something from the App Store. This lawsuit has got nothing
No, I
to
understand.
do with
I
purchasing
understand.
apps.
I'm
This
going-
is just in-app purchases.
I understand. Is there any record when you do it the way before
Yes.
that you have in one place
Mhm.
everything, Is it still the same if you're using a third party? Is there
No, it would
any-
not be, because it's not being processed through Apple's.
Okay,
It's
so-
not going through my iTunes account or my Apple account,
Okay.
whatever it's called. My iCloud account.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. There is benefit. Plus, for example, you have an iPhone. You've purchased I've got an app I purchased a subscription to. It's $100 a year. If I get a new phone, I don't have to purchase the $100 thing again. I can go to because I use my same Apple account, I can redeem my membership. If that app decides to use a third party thing, now they're going to have to handle that on their end. There's more steps to it. Again, there are some ease of use and things that are provided because the ecosystem is one. I'm all for options, and I'm glad that this will be allowed. The question will be for apps that are a little bit more complicated. How is that going to work?
Interesting.
Yeah. So it might
what
have
I'm
a big
saying is
change. It
Apple
might
is-
not. We won't know.
What I'm saying is Apple is not the only one who can make the process convenient. That's
Correct.
the thing.
Oh
right?
yeah,
It's
I mean
just-
others
up
can.
until now, nobody developed a convenient alternative method other than Epic, which is semi-convenient. And this is part of what this ruling is about, right? There are going to, I'm sure, Square and PayPal, they're gonna develop now processes for in-app purchases that other developers can, easily inject into their code. So
Yeah, if they make money, they will.
Well, and that's why I said this ruling is very incumbent on what does that industry do? Because like what Gal said, if none of those apps make those things,
Mm-hmm.
then the ruling is kind of
Empty.
null and void.
Yeah.
So it's remained to be that's why I said the verdict is still out as to what happens with this. I would be of the mindset, I would agree with Gal that likely will happen. But it's all about the ease of use and ease of access. And you might find that Apple tells PayPal and these other companies, hey, how about you just don't do that? And Apple might have a big enough sway where they could get away with that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we see a lawsuit from PayPal, suing Apple because they are making the process after this ruling, right, where it should be okay, if they're stopping other developers from adding their component or something like that, right? So it'll be interesting.
And Nick,
Well, I gotta go.
you got to go?
I gotta go.
Okay. All right.
I have guys, I want to get you in on the ground floor of a brand new opportunity with Apple now. We're going to have this new thing called envelopes with this thing called a stamp and a little piece of paper that you write on that with numbers and you just sign it. That's how you're going to pay.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later then.
See you, Gal.
There you go. Be safe.
everyone.
See ya. Nick, you want to talk about that Chinese ban?
Sure. Let me pull up. So I think was it last week or maybe the week before we covered the
Last week, yeah.
the
3 hours.
The new I don't want to, it's not really the new rules from the Chinese government that only allows people under the age of 18 years old to play video games for 3 hours a week. And it's not just that, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night from like 8 to 9 p.m. It's like literally an hour a night that it is allowed. But there's been another
development
on that this week that says now that Chinese regulators said that they're going to slow their approval for new online games. So what they're going to do is they're just going to slow their approval for new online games in the country, which means if there's not a lot of new games coming out, that is going to make the process even less lucrative for companies that are developing games for China. China is the largest video game market in the world, at least it was. And with these new policies and things of that nature, they're making their market not lucrative at all for developers and companies of that sort.
Right. What is Tencent going to do?
Well, that's the big thing. Tencent is the largest they're the largest video game company in the world. They're based in China. They're like 40% owned by the Chinese government.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now not going to essentially be able to release
new games.
Yeah, I mean, now let's be clear. This Slashdot article is very misleading because it says that they banned all new video games. That's not true at all. They're
suspended.
Yeah, but again, the headline at Slashdot is bullshit. It's not accurate.
Yeah,
it's completely wrong. And that's always pissed me off about Slashdot.
Well,
they're just normally there's between 80 and 100 games a month that are approved in China. The regulators did not immediately say how much how big of a delay that will be, but they did note that back in 2018, there was a 9-month freeze on new video game approvals. So for 9 whole months, nothing got approved. No new games were able to come to the market in China.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty interesting to note. I think this is great because I'm sick of video game companies, especially Western video game companies, tailoring their game to the Chinese player base, which is not our player base at all. And to me, always makes we get crappier games because of it. So I'm all for this.
Nick, in very short, what does it mean tailored to the Chinese? I mean, is there like something that you can explain?
I mean, it's just the Chinese culture and the American culture is very different. And like, for example, they're very strict on violence and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You've had games that have changed the color of blood from red to purple. For example, police cars are not allowed in Chinese video games. So they've changed police cars from police cars to kind of, they don't look, they're police cars, but they don't say police, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So now most companies will develop a different game for China, but not all. So that's been very frustrating to see Western companies kind of, and I don't blame them for doing it. It's the largest video game market in the
wherever they make money
in the world.
Yeah.
But for me, we get a shittier experience in the Western hemisphere because of it. So I'm all for this. I hope China completely outlaws video games. I think that would be great. It would make my experience a whole lot better.
All the kids will come here to play.
I'm being serious. Like, I mean, it's just between Chinese hackers and companies bowing down to meet the needs of the Chinese regulatory groups and making the games that come out in America suck. I'm all for this. And I'm glad I don't live in a shithole country like China. So that's all.
Yeah.
Coming soon to the US probably, but at least not right. Not yet.
Sorry to hear.
So,
all right.
Another big change, which, I don't know. I guess there's a problem with the youth playing video games in China, but the Chinese government claims the issue is that kids are lazy and don't want to do anything. And it's not because video games, it's because their system of communism doesn't motivate anybody to actually do any work. But of course, that will not be ever pointed out.
This is just
video
them
games as their mortar.
This is them saying we're trying to deal with it when they don't have any intention of dealing with it.
Yeah,
it's just
why are kids lazy? Because there's no motivation to be successful.
Yeah.
Because you live in a communist government. That there's no growth for most people, and they literally have a caste system. No wonder kids just want to sit home and play video games for their whole life. That's what I would want to do. Why the hell would you not?
Especially if you're on your monthly stipend and you don't have to do anything anyway.
Exactly. So they're trying to solve the problem with a nonsensical solution, in my opinion. But I'm just a stupid capitalist, so who knows?
All right. So now let's go to Amazon and that's pretty good. Amazon said Thursday it will offer to pay 100% of college tuition for its 750,000 U.S. hourly employees. The e-commerce giant is following the leads of other large U.S. companies who are dangling perks like education benefits or more pay to woo workers in a tight job market. Starting in January 2022, Amazon said it will cover the cost of college tuition, fees, and textbooks for hourly employees in its operations network after 90 days of employment. It will also begin covering high school diplomas programs, GED, and English as a second language certifications for
That's a really
employees.
good idea. The GED
Operations workers include employees in Amazon's sprawling network of warehouses and distribution centers. That is nice. Any way you look at it, I don't care why they do it, but it's nice.
But are they going to determine what degrees are okay that you can do? What if you want to get a degree in 16th century French authors?
I have no idea. That I don't think
Right.
they.
Is it going to be degrees related to business, which is really what it? I mean,
I don't think
not
they.
that I want to stop
no.
anybody from doing what they want to
Come
do.
on, they
but-
can't expect everybody to go with degrees that have to do with business. 750,000.
But
You know.
you need to have a degree that's going to keep you employed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree.
Right? It's how many?
But remember, they are not trying to do the right thing for the kids or for the workers. They're trying to woo people to stay there and to work, to come
No,
to
of
work
course.
for them.
No,
It's
I
not
realize that.
It's not we're trying to create a better generation. No, it's we're trying to be more successful. You want to study zoology, you want to study frisbees, do it. I mean, but we need you to do work here.
Yeah, they have a very high burnout rate,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and I have firsthand accounts of this through family, cousins or not cousins, nephews. One nephew in particular who worked for Amazon, who
Well-
no longer works for Amazon, but took advantage of what he could, and it got to the point where the workplace was
And that's
uncomfortable.
That's why they're doing it, and
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
Yeah,
the-
but you
the-
know what? You know what that does too, though?
What?
Having lived through the generation where you went to work, whether you liked your job or not, because you
Mhm.
had to,
Mhm.
I would like to see more people get directed towards fulfilling jobs. Like look at Mike Rowe. I mean, Mike Rowe is a hero of mine. The way he talks about the workplace and training people to do trades. That I would personally, I enjoy the trade. I do. I love working with my hands and all that stuff. It just wasn't something that I could do as a career until later in life when I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But if you have a job that you know it pays well, but you hate it, it would be nice to be able to steer people towards, hey, what are you interested in? That actually is a job, something that's a viable job.
but then you may lose them.
What?
And that's
True.
not
I know,
what
I know.
Amazon. That's not what Amazon is trying to do.
I understand. I'm
They're
just saying I
trying to
wish that there
retain.
would be
Oh yeah, of course.
an effort, but
Yeah.
education is big business now. Education is basically fueled by student loans provided by the government. So now you've got all these people going through and getting their $150,000 degree in something that will never get them a job,
Right.
but they'll always be indebted to the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got them. And it's a way that colleges can maintain their high tuition because they know that the kids, it's like buying a car. How much is that? How much does that car cost? So I can get you in that car for $99 a month. No, how much does the car cost? Forget about that. Here's what it costs. The monthly payment is. There's no what it costs. The same thing with college education. There's
Spence, how dare you?
what's my student loan cost going to be? Right?
How dare
it's
you
only
indicate-
$50 a month.
How dare you
dare-
indicate that people make stupid decisions for their degree? How dare you? And it should be
I
your
think
fault. You
it's
should
not-
have to pay more in taxes because of my
It's-
stupid decision.
That's it.
Jerk.
Well,
You
I'm
racist,
one of those
white
parents that
old man bigot.
What? I'm one of those parents that my kids all had student loans, but when we paid them off, right? I got them loans simply because I thought you need to have skin in the game. And then when they started to work, I started to pay them off. And then as a incentive, I said, I will help you pay. And I did. So I want the money back. If they start paying off people's loans, I want to get paid back for the money I paid off.
You want reparations.
I want reparations. There we go.
It's my money, and I feel like I want to see you starring in a CW infomercial that airs at 11:30 a.m. Hi, I'm Spence Shoemaker. Have you gone to college and paid back your debt? It's if you need cash, call now. You might be entitled to serious cash compensation.
That's right. Yep.
On another note, my mother just texted me, Spence, and said that you just rolled up in one sentence. You just rolled up her job in one sentence. So she works in.
What was that?
No, she works in. She works in the mortgage industry. About payments and things like that. So. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, it's amazing that
Windows 11.
I can't imagine how. I can't imagine. I have so many friends my age that have got unbelievable student loan debt, car payments, live in an apartment that they're not getting any equity in, and they're working essentially non-skilled jobs. Mm-hmm. And it's like, boy, your next 20 years of your life are going to be, unless you hit the lottery, are going to be absolutely miserable.
It's your own fault.
Right. It's nobody else's fault. It's your own.
I think I mentioned this already, but if the World Economic Forum had their meeting, Davos earlier in the year, and they if you go to their website, World Economic Forum, you can see their predictions for 2035. And it's a video where they say, you will own nothing, but you will be happy. That's the theme of this document, this video. It's like, what do you mean you'll own nothing? No, you'll live in you'll rent a place here. You'll rent a car when you need a car. You won't own anything. Basically, you have to depend on the government.
Well, and it'll work out because you've got a bunch of 20-something-year-olds that are coming out of college with unbelievable loan debt, don't want to work a job because they're lazy bastards, and it'll be perfect. They'll say, hey, we'll wave our magic wand and we'll forgive all of your debt, and you will just own nothing the rest of your here. Sign a contract that says we essentially will own your finances for the rest of your life, and you'll have a bunch of retards that will think that that's great. More power to them. I don't give a shit. I'm good.
We can give you a level 2 or level 3 life for this much per month.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be good to go. And you'll have a bunch of idiots that jump on it.
It's funny how this used to be the days of people who worked for mines and companies like this, where they had the company store, and that song, you owe my soul to the company store. This is it again. You go in, you go to the company store, you buy stuff on credit from the company store, anticipating your paycheck, which is going to go towards everything that you buy from the company store. So your life is controlled.
You know what they say? Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. That's the old saying.
You guys forget the most important thing.
Sure.
Biden is going to pay or forgive all the students' loan.
I'll tell you this.
He said that, and now it's.
I don't want to get too political here, but our debt ceiling is within 3 weeks of us defaulting on billions of dollars worth of debt. And if Congress doesn't, I'm never a fan of government spending, but if Congress doesn't pass a raising of our debt ceiling, our economy is going to completely collapse. So,
that might be the intention.
Yeah. So
not under their watch.
Well, if they don't get Republican support, they're not going to be able to raise the debt ceiling. And if they don't raise the debt ceiling and we default on a bunch of debt, there's a serious possibility that the stock market and stuff seriously collapses.
Amnon, I want you to go look up two things. One is something called Cloward Piven. It's two professors, a man and a woman, who had a position on the economy. Look that one up.
No.
Then look up when Bill Clinton and Al Gore had the motor voter bill signing at the White House, and who was sitting next to them as they signed that bill. Those two things, Cloward and Piven. Cloward
Oh.
and Piven were in the room.
Oh.
Their theory was that to bring about the utopian socialist society, that you have to collapse the current system, and you collapse the current system by overloading it with debt to the point where it would literally fold in on itself, and then out of that you would rise.
How did we get to talk about that? If we're
Because
really
we're talking about government forgiving student
Oh,
loan
yeah,
debt.
yeah,
I
yeah,
said
yeah,
we
yeah.
can't get that far if we
Yeah.
don't have a surviving economy, which
Yeah.
which seriously is
Communism
a serious
works
concern.
great till you run out of other people's money.
I think it's the first week of October is when that's scheduled
Yeah.
to run out at its current rate.
so let's talk a minute about Windows 11.
Sure. Bit of a
Most
change
still-
of pace, but okay.
Most,
They didn't they didn't cancel it.
this is something else to worry about here. Most modern PCs will boot from both MBR and GPT partition system drives running under a combination legacy/UEFI system. However, with the advent of Windows 11 and its harsh requirements, GPT will become mandatory, and some users might want or need to convert a system drive from MBR to GPT. Besides, the GPT partition style provides quite a few benefits over MBR. Fortunately, Windows 10 includes a tool that will not only convert a system drive from MBR to GPT without data loss, but will also create a new EFI system partition. It's appropriately named MBR to GPT. So here's what you need to think about. If you don't want to lose data, and you want to stay on Windows 11, I don't know why Windows 11 doesn't have that feature in it. But if you want to convert, you convert now. And the way that I will do it, I will clone the drive with Windows 10. I will convert it and put it aside. And when the time comes for Windows 11, I have all my files. I would think that Windows 11 will do it also without losing. I would like to think.
There's all these tools out there, Amnon, already talking about this. Just do a search on MBR versus GPT, and it's just a screen filled with tools to do this.
But it's something that doesn't come up. You don't hear people talk about it with Windows. All the stuff about Windows 11 that I was reading, this is the first time I read about this. And here it is, Windows 11. So what does that mean? That if they send Windows 11 as an update sometime toward the end of the year, because that's how they're going to convert you from Windows 10 to 11. Yes, you can say I don't want to, but if your computer is ready and everything is fine and you're using MBR, does that mean that they will convert it for you and there is a good chance you're going to lose data?
That's tough. The other big question is that, okay, so you've got hardware that won't support Windows 11.
Right.
What is the support scheme going forward for people who have to stay on Windows 10? How long is it going to be supported?
We talked
But
about
I mean,
it.
have they announced what that's going to be? Because you've got.
We talked about it last week, and Nick.
Oh, I know, but I mean, I didn't know if they announced what the support.
No, but Nick said that and he's right. There's already a plan for Windows 10 when it's going to end of support, when is the end of life, and all that. So it's still there. It's not going to change.
So in other words, they lied to us when they said that Windows 10 would be it going forward, and they just have like OS 10 has new versions come out.
That's not what they said. They said that Windows 10 will be the last
paid version of Windows, right?
The last version of Windows or something like that. I mean, they
did say that. They implied that they would just go ahead and have new updates to Windows 10.
I know. It's I don't understand that whole thing of Windows 11. Why it couldn't be just Windows 10 version this and that. But anyway, the point here is make sure you have a backup of everything that you have. make sure that you're not going to lose anything. And if Windows did something and caused you to lose it, you have a backup of it to get back. That's
Well,
my point.
We kind of went through this before, but it didn't have an in-band upgrade path. Like if you moved from Windows 7 to 10,
Yeah.
you just didn't upgrade 7, right? It had to be a clean install. You couldn't.
No, I did it. I did a move.
No, but what I mean by that is it's not. Things had to be converted. It went through the process, but there were major changes. It wasn't just updating the software. It changed the file system. It changed a lot of things. So, what I'm saying is,
but it stayed at MBR. It didn't have to.
It did stay at MBR.
Now they tell you that no, has to be GPT. So now they have to convert that. You cannot run. Apparently, you cannot run Windows 11 with MBR. It has to be GPT. MBR has been, gosh, how long has MBR been? As long as I remember, right? What did we have before? It was always MBR, master boot record.
Yep. And what are the reasons for changing it?
I have no. They're not talking about it. They said that. I don't know the article, and it's from Dave's Computer News. There's a lot of things that are better in GPT, but that I don't care how much better it is. If you lose data, it's not worth it. So, if you want to read about it, yeah, GPT has a bunch of different features that are not in MBR. And I'm sure they're doing it for a good reason. But to put the cloud over users that they may lose some of their data or whatever, that's not good strategy. So
it also sounds like it's just the drive of the size of the partition will be opened up under GPT. That's limited under MBR. So
I don't
faster
know.
boot time, better graphics, and mouse cursor support at the interface.
It's got a bunch of them.
Compatibility with bigger hard drives.
Yeah, don't get into it now because that can take forever, and we're at the end of the show.
So can we dust off all those RLL drives we have?
And make one drive out of them.
That's right.
Yeah. What did they call it in Unix? Striping, right? Striping.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something to think about and be ready. That's all.
Word to the wise before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Do not update to the latest version of Plex. You run an HD home run.
Don't.
Is there a where'd you hear that? I mean,
I just updated it and now I can't view any of my tuner doesn't work. I gotta figure out what's going on.
Well, time to call Gal and find out.
No. I can figure stuff out. Have no fear.
By a recast, you'll be all set.
I might just need to restart the Plex server, but I just did the update and now all of the channels just say cannot. It says check your tuner or antenna, and I went in there to try to turn off, tried to delete the tuner, and it just says an unexpected error. So
all right.
Service Plex.
If there's nothing else that we need to include here in the show, thanks, Spence. Thanks, Nick. And thank you, Gal. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dana, Dina, Arlington, Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And again, remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., Nick is doing his morning news show on WAAV in Wilmington, 980 The Wave, and 107. I can't remember. But anyway, and Tuesday, 7 p.m., Nick and Brian are doing the Infection podcast on Twitch. So you can just go to Twitch and search for the channel Infection Podcast, one word, no spaces, about gaming. Talk to you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.